Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So, just like Terence Crawford was on a mission to fight Errol Spence for like 5 years, he's now on a new mission, and that's to fight the winner of Canelo versus Jermell Charlo. About a week after Terence Crawford beat Errol Spence, Jermell Charlo, he came out and he said that he'd be willing to go back down to 154 and fight against Terence Crawford. But more recently, he's now saying he doesn't know if he will ever go back down to 154. But that's no problem because Terence Crawford now is willing to go all the way up to 168. But Jermell Charlo said that he would also go after David Benavidez after the Canelo Alvarez fight. And I truly believe that Jermell Charlo, he feels that a David Benavidez fight will be easier than a Terence Crawford fight, regardless of the fact that Terence Crawford is moving up 3 weight classes or 2 weight classes. And I say 2 weight classes because there's a good chance that Jermell Charlo may go down to 160 after the Canelo Alvarez fight. This just means the fights are going to get bigger and bigger, even when it comes to Canelo Alvarez. Because Canelo Alvarez is now with Al Haymon is going to put him in the biggest fights, regardless if it's against welterweights or super middleweights. It's no different than Manny Pacquiao when he made his move from Top Rank to PBC. We seen him fight Adrian Broner, Keith Thurman, and he was supposed to fight Errol Spence until Errol Spence had to pull out. As long as Canelo Alvarez is fighting on PBC, I don't think we're going to see him fighting against any more Yodirams or John Ryders. When it comes to DAZN, I think the main reason why Canelo Alvarez left DAZN is because the only fighter they were really offering him to fight was Dimitri Bivol. And Canelo Alvarez, he knew he wasn't going to beat Bivol in a rematch. And for a fighter on Canelo Alvarez level, to lose to the same fighter twice would be extremely detrimental to his career. So moving to PBC was an absolute no-brainer. And even though Canelo Alvarez hasn't even got past Jermell Charlo yet, and he might not get past him, assuming he does, reporters are all asking Canelo Alvarez about him fighting against Crawford because, once again, Crawford has said that he wants to go up to 168 and fight either Canelo Alvarez or Jermell Charlo, depending on who wins that fight. But Canelo is not showing too much interest in the Terence Crawford fight. And it's interesting because when Terence Crawford said that he'd be willing to move up to 158 or 160, Canelo Alvarez said he'd be really interested in that fight at 168. He said he would not go down below 168. Now that Terence Crawford is insisting to go to 168, Canelo Alvarez is saying this.
I respect Crawford. He's a great fighter. And I always say that, no disrespect him. But, sometimes it's a little crazy that people talking about I'm gonna face a small fighter like Charlo. He's big, which he is big, and everybody's talking about if I'm gonna face Crawford, fighter 147, who is smaller than Charlo. So no makes sense when you guys say that right now. I don't understand, right? Because you're talking about I take Charlo if he's 2 weight classes lower than me, and then you're talking about Crawford and this and that. At the end of the day, I don't want to have credit to face Crawford, right? So no matter what, but you never know. You never know in boxing.
Absolutely.
I'll go up and down and fight everybody out there. So it's possible. Why not? It's possible.
Okay, so this is an interview that Canelo Alvarez did with Fight Hype, and what you will notice is Canelo Alvarez right there, he never said that he wants that fight. So the reporter, he decided to defend Canelo Alvarez and tried to force Canelo Alvarez to say that he would be interested some kind of way in fighting Terence Crawford.
Why not?
You're a businessman, Canelo. I'm sure if it makes business sense, you'll.
If it makes sense, I'm down. Do it. I don't care who is there. I'm always able to fight anybody.
See, here's the thing. When Canelo Alvarez says, people are going to say that he's too small, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when Canelo Alvarez was fighting against Amir Khan, when Canelo was fighting against Josito Lopez, that's when he was supposed to say, I'm not going to fight those guys because I will get no credit for it. But he was all in when it came to fighting them. Now that it comes to Terence Crawford, he's saying he will be criticized and people will say that Terence Crawford is too small. But the problem with him saying that is Canelo Alvarez, he already knows that a lot of people would be picking Terence Crawford to beat him, which is more of an incentive to take the fight. Oscar De La Hoya himself, not only does he believe Crawford beats Canelo Alvarez, but he also believes Crawford would make that fight look very easy. And I completely agree with Oscar. Because Terence Crawford, he showed in the Errol Spence fight, it doesn't matter if you're bigger than him. It doesn't matter if you have more power than him. He's not going to get hit with those punches. In fact, Canelo Alvarez will most likely be slower than Errol Spence was because he's much bigger than Errol Spence, and Canelo Alvarez has never been known for his hand speed. He's not a Roy Jones Jr. And he doesn't even throw punches in bunches. Canelo usually relies on 1 or 2 hard counter shots or lead shots. So just think of how difficult it would be for Canelo Alvarez to rely on landing one of those hard shots. And I'm talking about one of them. Terence Crawford would be an absolute nightmare for Canelo Alvarez. And I truly believe Canelo Alvarez, he sees a Terence Crawford fight as a more difficult fight than the Jermell Charlo fight. Every time he talks about Terence Crawford, he always starts off saying, I have a lot of respect for Crawford. He's a great fighter. Canelo Alvarez is extremely impressed with what he's seen Terence Crawford do to Errol Spence. Extremely impressed. And I believe not only would Terence Crawford beat Canelo Alvarez, but there's a very good chance he would stop him. Because Canelo Alvarez, he throws every single punch the same. He throws it with the exact same velocity. Which is why we've seen Canelo Alvarez get tired when he was fighting against Bivol. Because Bivol used Canelo Alvarez's power against him. He would stand close to Canelo and he would allow Canelo to basically punch himself out. And as soon as Canelo Alvarez was expecting to get a breather, that's when Bivol would jump on him with combinations. And I believe Terence Crawford could do something similar to that. If that fight ever happened, the second half of that fight would be a complete nightmare for Canelo Alvarez. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Key Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to LODkey.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.